It's Wednesday, and you know what that means. We're back live on the Big Mountain.
Welcome back to the Big Mountain, another live episode on a Wednesday evening. We just have a lot of chatter already in the chat box, which is awesome. And yes, it is going to be our second call-in episode. We'll get some of the numbers and everything up on the screen here in a little bit. We have two or three items we want to go through first before we get to your call-in time. Want to give some shout outs here to whoever is in the chat. We've got some of our great dwellers that are often with us. Go Big Red. What is that? 5NC.
Yeah,
But GBR. Go Big Red.
Go Big Red.
We got Steven JEH Immaculate Fia back with us. Always great to have Fia. Veronica using the correct terminology. Good evening, dwellers. Absolutely love it. Immaculate there. He's ready. I think he's looking at his microphone and he's putting lipstick on. He's getting ready. He's getting ready, I think, to call in. Who else? Who am I missing here? Brad. Good to have him back. DJ's in the house. Jerry's in the house. John is in the house. What's up, dwellers? That's right. Hello, everyone. Atomic Skull. Again, always enjoy that name. Back in the house as well. And we've got let's start with a very important item.
Oh, is it
You're holding
is it the Red Wave?
The Red Wave. We have our first Dweller brew.
Yes.
That has been shipped to us here back east in Pennsylvania, all the way from California.
Like it.
Which what is it? Tioga Sequoia Brewing Company. The Red Wave Light Lager, compliments of our buddy Sierra Nevada Sam,
Yes.
who's a great follower of mine on the X platform. I know he can't often get to our live shows. He follows up with them after the fact, but he's a West Coast guy. And cheers, brother.
Yeah.
Here we go.
And to be clear, not sponsored, just some free beer from a dweller. We got to go for it.
Ah, that's delicious. The other really cool thing, Sierra Nevada Sam helped me out. That's pretty good.
It is pretty good.
It's a straight up light lager that you could
Perfect for summertime.
pound many at a good old football game.
Let's do it.
That's why I think that's, clearly what they're going for. That's the audience. And that's what we like.
Yeah.
First of Dweller. Oh, and Sierra Nevada Sam, if we can throw up the Dweller Brew logo, he took our logo and made it even cooler. Thanks to kind of starting a thing. I got a whole thread on my page.
I love it.
We talked about this last week. We got the UTEP, and I can't name them all because I'm gonna forget some people. We got a whole list of people. I will say North Dakota State Bison, it's a pretty cool can too. We just got that one this week. That was added late. But there it is, the Dweller Brew logo. Guess what I have on order, Steve?
Oh, some koozies with that?
Well, not koozies.
Stickers?
I got the koozies ahead. That would have been great, but I have stickers.
Yeah.
I've got stickers. Maybe the next order of the
That'd be
koozies,
epic on some
we'll
koozies.
have to have the Dwig or the Dweller brews on the koozies. And you have two koozies, Steve. You've got a Red Wave koozie and a Big Mountain koozie.
Yes, official koozie of the Dwellers. Yep.
Hold on.
And I got a beaver on my shirt tonight, an angry beaver. I saw we had some Beavs fans in.
I see they're talking about the baseball team.
Yeah, the baseball team, amazing. And we were talking about it. I was watching their games against FSU, and I think all three games the Noles had early leads, and the Beavs came back.
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah,
because FSU went up early in game 3,
like
and I'm like,
2-0
and then it didn't matter because Oregon State went stupid crazy on the home runs. But that's okay.
And I said to you about a week, I can't remember if it was on the show or just we were talking, that I thought Oregon State might be the best overall baseball team this year. They don't have weaknesses. I mean, just top to bottom. We'll see what happens in Omaha, but I'm sure the Bees fans are happy watching their Bees baseball team.
There you go, Steven with the Red Wave Brew in the chat. Well done. And we've got some other people here. We've got Sargent back in the house saying, greetings from Vegas. Fantastic. Moses, an NIU Husky fan. That's awesome. Love Muscle back in here. His wife is an Angry Beaver.
Yeah. So
I don't want to know any more. Don't go any further than
I'll just say Love Muscle. So we have my wife and I and a couple of our friends, we have a trivia team, and we are the Angry Beavers. So we are proud Angry Beavers.
All right. Well, there you have it. Apparently, I made a comment about lipstick. JEH and Immaculate apparently are having a good chuckle about something, and that's great. That's why we're here to be entertaining. So Steve, let's get to our topics. We're going to
Yeah.
talk. I want to talk about settlement.
Yes.
Kind of go over stuff. We did not do a standalone episode on this. We've had other stuff going on.
Yep.
It's kind of beating a dead horse. Oh, yes, everybody knows it was approved, but I do want to go over some things with that because
Yep.
there's some items now, kind of like, oh, Kai, oh, it was approved. Now
Yes.
what the hell do we do?
Yes.
And that's kind of where I want to go, and we can certainly hear from dwellers on this as well.
Good.
But I want to just lay the groundwork here real quick. And so this settlement was a 76-page document. It was originally filed, I think people forget this, back in 2020.
Yes.
So this has been a 5-year in the making event and settlement. And it was, against the NCAA and at the time the Power Five, and that's why you continue to see, they just did a Zoom call where you had the 5 commissioners. Gould was on there, and that's why they are a defendant in this settlement. So of course they're going to be there. It offers $2.8 billion in back damages, and you've talked about that a lot. It's righting the wrongs of the past, but not only are they trying to do that, but they're trying to couple it with what comes next in the future.
That's the sticky wicket.
Well, we might talk about that sticky wicket a little bit. It was, now everybody knows, this $20.5 million a year has been blasted all over the place. That's the cap in which schools are able to kind of go up to, if you want to call it the salary cap. And I think I want to be really clear about this because they must offer items or offer money to all sports, but there's nothing about equitability of how those funds are distributed. And we saw today, I saw Amanda Kristovich put this out there. There's already an appeal being made. I believe it was for women, that they're saying it's a Title IX, whatever violation. Thank you. And we've talked about that. We've talked about that with Immaculate. I don't want to go down that path, but we all knew within days of the settlement, boom, you're going to have other items. I don't think the Title IX one is really a winning argument here, quite frankly, but hey, it's one of probably many that are coming. And Wilkins said, that 20.5 million cap for schools, under her calculation, she's saying for the next 10 years, that could be $19 billion that's paid to student athletes under this model. So tons of dollars that we're talking about. The settlement sets up a clearinghouse to ensure payments are for fair market value and not Steve's favorite terminology, pay to play. A lot still having to come out of that. Again, that's another conversation we could have a ton of.
Second favorite term after sovereign immunity.
Yes, that's sovereign immunity will never be taken off the peak of your mountain, though. But yes, so that whole fair market value type of situation, roster limits. Obviously that kind of became controversial at the very end. And that's where I'm like, ooh, we might be in trouble here. I didn't think maybe the response that the defendants gave her was maybe going to be enough. It ended up being enough because she was okay with it. But the settlement allows schools to give roster spots back in a sort of grandfathering, but they don't have to give them back. And I thought that would maybe be the part she didn't like, but apparently she's okay with
Puts it on the school, and they can designate athletes that they're basically exempt from.
Yes, right. So implementation's going to be next, and that's where I want to talk real quickly about this because there's a lot of schools and conferences saying we still need more information from you. Really, one of the big things here is this lengthy FAQ that's supposedly going to be coming here any day now. But I saw it was, I don't remember the number of pages. It's massive. This isn't a 2 or 3 page FAQ. It is a legit, was it 50 to 100? I hate to say, Immaculate probably knows, but a really long FAQ. And one of the pieces is around this grandfathering. Like what are the back and forth? We have questions about grandfathering. What can't we do? The roster limits and things like that. And I saw today the commissioner of the Southern Conference said, and this was his quote, part of his quote, schools deserve full info and adequate time to make informed decisions about these fundamental and foundational changes. And I went 100% right. And I saw some people like, what do you mean? You've known about this for months. And I'm going, well, first of all, no, not all conferences have. And 5 conferences have been in the room for
Right.
quite a long time. All these other conferences, I don't know how much they really know. I mean, they know what the public knows. How much more than that, I don't know. And it's certainly, if they're waiting on this massive FAQ document to make these really, really important decisions, they need some time to do that. So an extension has been given from June 15th to June 30th. So, oh, we hear you. We'll give you an extra 15 days to make this really important decisions, at least for the next year or whatever it's going to be with this opt-in, opt-out, roster limits. There's a lot going on. And now what's next, since they moved that to June 30th, is June 23rd. We have potential this governance, model changes, approval. We'll see. So there's just so much going on right now in such a short amount of time. I feel for a lot of these conferences. And, you just mentioned to me the Dakota schools, all 4 of them may now, especially because of the roster. We just talked about this with Sam Herder about North Dakota State and the roster limits. And he corrected me because I was saying scholarships, but it is roster limits. That was really where they had the concern. They didn't want to have to cut kids or lose kids. Now, if they can grandfather them in, and that's alleviated, and I'm going to say because they don't have the FAQ yet, they don't know exactly what that means, but you could absolutely see the Dakotas as a prime example, who said months ago, North Dakota State said months ago, we're not doing it, and here's why. They have to reevaluate things, and they've got 2 weeks or whatever it is now to do it. So, holy cow, Steve, I just said a mouthful. What the heck do you think?
Okay, so I have a few thoughts here.
Yes.
I'll go down. So regarding this settlement, this is revenue sharing. It's for players. I think it's 2016 through 2024 or 20. It's up to 2024.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So not for any, just not for the current this year or forward. And it's a revenue sharing agreement. I agree with you. We both thought there would be Title IX suits right away.
Sure.
But I don't think this is going to be a Title IX issue.
Yeah.
The judge was pretty clear on that. This is revenue sharing.
Right.
There's always a lot of confusion about Title IX, and the biggest thing with Title IX is the opportunity for both male and female to have an equal opportunity to play sports.
Right.
This is about sharing that revenue and rolling out the revenue. It's not like employment compensation or anything like that. So I don't think Title IX, but I'm sure we will continue to see those suits. And it's also important to understand that this is, I believe it's considered a class action lawsuit because they talk about the different classes of players and specific players. There are some female players specifically. There's the gymnast from LSU, Libby Dunn, Caitlin Clark, where if they're a big time female athlete, they didn't have to be a part of this settlement. They could opt out and pursue their own litigation that could be totally separate. So, but I'm sure when we predicted this before, I think you said, you asked me, when do you think, we were texting, and you said, when do you think the first lawsuit will come down? I said Monday. You did. And it came out today on Wednesday.
Well, I mean, who knows when it was filed?
Exactly.
It hit the press today.
So maybe it was filed Monday. Who knows? So yeah, we'll see how that goes. The FAQ, I think everybody has, I think this is one of those things where everybody has an idea of the framework of the settlements, okay, because they do know that they will be able to exempt players. And reading North Dakota's AD, their quote today, he's got enough information. He's saying we do expect to opt in now.
Yes,
but what they don't know is the nuts and bolts of how it's going to work, the implementation. We talked about that so many times. The presidents are the decision makers. They get in the big room, they make the decisions. The AD's got to go out there and implement it. How is this going to work? How is the logistics of this going to work? We saw that before with the portal. That took a couple years to implement, and they're going to have to figure out, with this. And like you said, great point on the roster limits. I really do think that will alleviate a lot of concerns. And it's really putting the onus back on that school to player relationship. The schools that want to keep players, they'll be able to, it seems like. And there's other schools, maybe they've just decided to move on. Maybe they got rid of a program, whatever, a women's volleyball program or something like that. And they're just ready to move on. But other schools like North Dakota, like maybe Virginia with their soccer program, they want to keep those rosters, so they'll have a mechanism to exempt those players, but they just don't know exactly how it's going to work yet. And those ADs, they want to know the nuts and bolts. So I have one last thought.
Keep going.
Okay. So the biggest part of this to me, and it's something you actually didn't mention.
Okay.
You did talk about the 23rd, how we're going to have this new governance.
Yeah.
Well, this settlement created a governance entity.
Sure.
You talked about the clearinghouse. That's a big
right.
part.
Yeah.
But in addition to the clearinghouse is this college football commission.
Sure. Yeah.
Which is basically now going to be in charge of NIL and making rules on this and all of that. And funny enough, it's the same people that are going to be controlling this are the same people that control the college football playoff.
Right.
So we're basically the A4, whoever the Power Five, A4, that group are going to control this and make a lot of the rules. So they may end up using this as a way to a quasi governance agency.
Yeah.
So if they can control the CFP through that committee, they can control the rules regarding NIL through this new commission that's set up. We'll see what happens with the NCAA governance. They may not even need that.
That's what I was just going to say. That the governance may not, for that piece, may not be needed, but there is something that is needed.
Right.
And that's congressional action.
Yes.
The only way that can happen legally and have an enforcement arm that's legalized and not continually attacked by lawsuits, which is what we've always had here, is this congressional piece. So just so much here to talk about. And I don't, we could do a whole hour on it, but wasn't the plan.
Right. And what you just said, great point. Something we've talked about over and over again, not only the Title IX, but none of this alleviates the antitrust concerns.
Correct.
The only way to alleviate that is to codify this settlement into law, which includes partnered with or includes an antitrust exemption for either the NCAA or this college football commission, because they're looking to put restrictions on future earnings of players. Well, you can't do that. Like Brett Kavanaugh said, I like beers. I don't like antitrust. As much as he loves beers, he doesn't like antitrust practices. And you can't do that without an antitrust exemption.
Right.
So I'm really interested. I'm hoping we hear from Immaculate during her call-in show.
I think we probably will.
Because I think that's the kind of the next step. You had a tweet about that. Step one done. We got the settlement done.
Yeah.
There's a couple more things that need to happen.
Three-legged stool, baby. Three-legged stool. One is in place, but that still ain't going to stand, and that one leg's going to break if it doesn't get the other legs attached to it.
One-legged stool is not sturdy.
Not at all. So, hey, but it's a step in the direction of maybe some clarification. So let's keep moving on. The next piece, just real quick, I want to talk about, we did a poll. I want to throw that up here and maybe have just a real quick summary. I know we have a lot of chats right now about North Dakota State, kind of that FCS to FBS information that we've done over the past 2 days. Great conversation with Sam Herder. And then we're going to get to some PAC information. So I see people down here asking about PAC. They're asking about the settlement. JM East is asking about some PAC stuff. When are we going to get the additions? I see that from FIA. Will that be before July? So I have an update both on some items that Ross Dellinger has said, and I have some new information that I don't think anybody has said yet, and it has to do with some of the questions people are asking in the chat, and it is sourced. So we'll get to that here when we get to the PAC, but the poll is up right now, and we appreciate it. We put that out. Steve's idea was to do a pre-show poll, and we're like, that's a really good idea. So I made one off of what we've been talking about, and this was, if you were to be able to take two of kind of the teams that we had talked about, I kept Sac State off of this because Sac State,
there's kind of an independent thing.
It's a whole different sitch. Like they're going, as long as they get approval, which I believe they're going to be getting, they're going to go. To me, that's not really a question anymore. Like they're going to go. So I use the other schools that are they going to go, and who is most likely. So I've got North Dakota State, South Dakota State, Tarleton State, and the two Montanas. Of course, I put the two Montanas, just like Sam said, it's all or nothing with them. So that was an easy choice just to put them as one. And I did a little mix and match for some of the other ones. And then I did at the bottom, Steve, no FCS. Is going to be moving up.
They got a significant number.
It's got some people taking that one, and I did have a few typos real quick. Of course, I'm asking about who's likely to move to the FBS. I think everybody understood what the hell we were talking about. Yes. I also misspelled Tarleton State, and that's totally on me, and I hate doing that because I am a big Texan fan. Go ahead.
If this was last summer, I can almost guarantee you the numbers for the top two, the North Dakota State and South Dakota State versus Tarleton, North Dakota, would have been swapped.
100% agree with you.
And
You're
I
right.
would say a big part of that is our coverage on the mountain here, us discussing. Someone brought it up to us in a chat like
Yeah.
about a year ago.
Yeah.
Tarleton State, what do you think? And we've been on that. We've been beating that drum. Sam Herder has been on Tarleton
Yep.
State. Just their trajectory over the last year, and I think we might be part of that.
Well, in fairness, this was a TBM poll.
Yes,
well, not in fairness, I should say, to
clarify.
clarify. So certainly, if people are seeing this poll and voting, they probably follow the channel.
Yes.
And so that may have something.
So we may have influenced our own viewers.
But I love what you're saying. But I agree with you. I think before even we educated ourselves,
yes,
I think we would have said the first one, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. That's probably what we would have voted for.
Yep.
But it's obvious to me the top two, and Sam said that, like, you got the top three, and then there's a gap till you get to the other ones. And I absolutely think, and I understand the people that are voting no more FCS moving up. There is those people that just think there's enough schools in FBS. We don't need to, and I don't think it's a knock on the schools that are listed. I think it's more just like we don't need any more of this. Let's just chillax for a little while.
And the voter might think that, or it might be that the voters think that the governing body, the entity, the D1 council, whoever accepts them, I forget the moving, that they might be of that mind that we don't want anybody else to move.
Right,
because what we've seen over the last year or so.
Yep. Appreciate all the chatter going on there. Love it all. We're not going to be able to get to it. We're going to have a really busy show. We have almost 100 people in. So keep it up. We will try to get to some questions if we can. And of course, we're going to have our call-ins here in just a little bit.
Can David Jorgensen, great friend of the show, can I just address real quick a couple of things he's brought up? Okay. So first of all, David, I saw your comment about Penn State. You said they were killing you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, early on.
Yes. Yeah, with the PE. Well, you gotta back up the train a little bit, because the Penn State AD did come out and say we're actually not part of any PE agreement. That firm, and now their name is escaping me because I don't have it in front. Elevate. Yeah, they're working with that firm on some other like marketing, marketing their tickets and that kind of stuff. But they are not part of any PE agreement. I honestly don't expect them to be anytime soon, but we'll see. And then he also had another comment about what can the feds do to save the NCAA in college football. Again, I think we're going to talk a little bit. We'll get into more depth with Immaculate later, hopefully. But the biggest part of it is, and he put save in quotation marks because that's a great thing.
Yeah.
So if your idea of save it is make it what we were used to, growing up, what we've seen, keeping the NCAA, keeping some kind of restrictions that are supposed to make a level playing field, then the number one most important thing is some kind of legislation to actually empower the NCAA. But it's got to come with that antitrust exemption, because what they are doing is inherently anti-competitive, antitrust, placing artificial restrictions on players' abilities to move, to have whatever their numbers of years are when they do eligibility. No other industry, and again, Brett Kavanaugh talked about this, there's no other industry in the country where we allow a non-governmental agency to say, if you're a CPA, they can't come in and tell you you're only allowed to work as a CPA for 5 years. You got 5 years. You better make as much money as you can. No other industry is allowed to do that.
Yep.
So if we want to keep some part of the old system, that's what they need, is that antitrust exemption.
Yeah, just a couple things I see people saying. Tarleton State, North Dakota to FBS, Sac State independent. Yep, I agree with you, JM East. They're absolutely going the independent route. JD Rommel, Montana State, best answer, hands down. I think they're great schools. I love everything that they do there. I don't know if they have as just like Sam said, I think he hit it. There's two main items there. One is, do they have the fan and alumni support to make the move?
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they're not over. NDSU is overwhelmingly, they want to go. Like,
they've been there, done that.
They want to go. I don't know that Montana schools it's not overwhelming. That's for darn sure. And if it's 50-50, okay, maybe. But the other piece, I just don't think they have the funding. I don't think there's interest to get the funding, at least right now in that state.
Yeah.
So I love the schools. I'm not sure that it's in the cards. And I think Sam laid it out perfectly.
Absolutely perfectly.
Then HT Vlogs says, when it comes to geography and exit fee, Texas State makes the most sense. Of course, he's talking about the PAC right now. But don't count out Louisiana Raging Cajuns. I know one of our friends of the channel, Good old Bill,
Yeah.
that college football guy, he has brought up the Raging Cajuns a few times. I don't have any information on them, but they're a great school. I'm not going to say no, but I don't have any info to know that they're even in the chat room.
I will say, I think too many people they place too much emphasis on success on the field.
Yeah.
I think North Dakota State is the one exception to that because they've been so successful in FCS, but also upsetting FBS teams. And they have that the fans want to do it, they have all that support. That's why they're such a good candidate. Just having success on the field is that's just a small part of it.
Right.
And Sam did a great job of breaking that down.
Right.
The financing, the will and want to, some schools use those student fees to, it's not just about paying that exit fee and going up. It's about everything, supporting the facility, supporting the program. So there's so much more to it than just success on the field. That's just a small part of it.
It is. And hey, while you're at it, we don't usually do this, but hit the like button if you want. We are now over 100 people watching, which is awesome. And we're going to be getting to the PAC here next. Before we get to the PAC, we're going to throw up the number so people can start calling in. And just as a reminder, all I'll have is your phone number on the screen. So I'll just shout out your area code. When I give you, hey, we're gonna go to whatever 701 next. If you're in area code 701, hit the unmute. I'll unmute you. You can ask your question. We'll if we can try to keep the convos for each person to 5-ish minutes, that'd be great. Just a quick back and forth so we can get as many people on as we can. But we'll get that number up, and I'm gonna get to the PAC. And I believe, thank you. Oh, look at producer Baker. *6 to unmute, baby. I was gonna say *9.
Whoa.
Cheers, brother. Red Wave, everyone.
Red
Wave. Thank you, Sierra Nevada Sam. It is party time on the big mountain. And while I'm talking about that, I'm all over the place. *6 to unmute. Make sure you do
unmute. Well, the crack of that can.
You unmuted it, baby. But we also have a lot of stuff happening on the big mountain. We are going to unleash a new store. So I would advise everyone, if you're thinking about buying something, don't buy off the store we have now. We have a new store coming out, better pricing, better quality. Steve and I just went and bought polo shirts for ourselves for our trip to Vegas.
Yep.
And new store dropping around July 1st. We're also going to start a Dweller subscription program coming up soon. And that's when we're going to get the Discord going. We talked about the Discord a little bit ago. So we got a lot of good stuff planned for our Dwellers here in the coming, weeks at this point.
Yes.
Got a lot to do to get that done by July 1. But I did want to give a quick shout out here. Where was it? A couple people are talking about Montana State. Where was he at? Doggone it.
There's one. I just saw one.
I thought it was Zachariah.
Okay.
And Ron too. So Zachariah says definitely there would be interest for both the Montanas, to move up. Go Grizz, go Cats. And then Ron, you said Montana State already opted into the House settlement, plus the Brawl of the Wild rivalry would be a huge plus for a media deal. I think they're great schools. I'm sure we know that Sam talked about they fill them things. They're loud, super loud, super into it. Yeah. He talked about how, wins against the Dakota schools and all that. I'm not judging the fan base at all. Clearly they have a fantastic fan base. And maybe we're wrong. Maybe it is more like 60-40 or 70-30 that they would want to go to FBS. I just don't see that chatter as much as others. And am I looking for it? No, not really. I'm not really looking for it. So, hey, guys, I appreciate those comments. And, we're just two guys with two opinions. There's plenty of other opinions out there. So appreciate those comments on the Montana schools. All right. So let's get to some PAC information. So I want to talk real quick about what Ross Dellinger had put out here this week. Then I want to talk about some information that I received this week. I had put out there, it was crickets, and I didn't mean crickets from the media. I meant crickets from hearing anything from sources, because I have been asking, and it's been stone cold dead silence until yesterday.
That's usually, there's something, when it's dead silent means there's usually something cooking.
That's why I put the little crickety crick thing out there. And then I want to quickly talk about rev share for the PAC-2, Oregon State and Washington State. Some information came out for those two. So we're kind of talking about that with the House settlement and all this jazz, and we'll talk about that. So Ross Dellinger, a friend of the show, dare I say,
yeah.
who was on with us last week. Awesome time for him to give us a little bit of his time. I know he was a very busy guy, and he got it in before he went down to Orlando for the AD convention. So appreciate all of his time. I'm working on another fantastic reporter, by the way.
Oh,
we'll see if we can get her on the show.
Exciting.
Soon. Yes. But Ross here reported on Tuesday that all 8 members have signed a PAC grant of rights and a membership agreement. Same type of deal that the Mountain West had done months ago without a media deal. Like, yes, you can sign a grant of rights that isn't tied to a media deal. And quite frankly, that was part of the issue the ACC had. It was tied directly to that media deal. And people are like, dude, it's all about that ESPN agreement. It's really not about, because the grant of rights was tied to the ESPN agreement. So they really should be 2 separate documents. So it makes absolute sense that they're signing a grant of rights, granting the rights, their media rights to the conference for the conference to go out and sell the packaged media deal with a provider or providers. So both the Mountain West and the PAC are actually doing it right, in my opinion.
Having some separation.
Yes. So then also, I think it was in the same tweet, he mentioned that a media package deal could be expected in the coming days. So this is now 2 days ago that he said that. No news came out, or I guess it was yesterday. I'm sorry, we're a day later. No news came out today. I thought, oh, it's a Wednesday. That'd be juicy. We could talk about that. Didn't happen today. But Ross is saying it could be, it's imminent. It's imminent. That, not his words, my words. Coming days, close enough. He also said the media may have 4 different partners. And so here's where I'm at. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to beat the dead horse until they freaking say I'm right or I'm wrong. CW, ESPN, Warner Brothers Discovery / TNT Sports, True TV, all that crap. And supposedly the 4th now is, and I didn't read into this too much, but supposedly this whole Warner Brothers, they split things, and now Max is on one thing and TNT Sports is on another thing, is what somebody told me. So maybe the 4th is Max, but in my opinion, it's always been TNT Max. So if you want to say it's 4 because now you have Max, okay, fine. It's 4. They were always the same damn deal, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. There's definitely seems to be, they are splitting off, and I went on a little rant on Twitter or X about this, about how the consumers, we have to deal with this where they combine everything, take all these separate parts, combine them together, make this big thing. You subscribe, okay, I like this, and now we're going to split up again. We don't know how that split up is going to work. It does sound like they're going to be 2 different companies, but the Turner stuff will still be on HBO Max. So I don't know.
Whatever. So if it's 4, CW, ESPN, TNT, and Max, that's my 4. And by ESPN, I'm talking whatever. ESPN, ESPN2, ESPN College, ESPN Deporte, ESPN Plus, ESPN in your mom's basement. Just whatever ESPN you can get.
Right.
That's one big thing. I have a poll, Steve.
Okay.
We're going to do a live poll.
Ooh, another poll.
Yes, another poll, live poll. You guys can tell us what you think, and I had to pick some stuff. I did some combinations. What do you laughing at?
Atomic Skull says, "Happy anniversary, honey! Another TBM beer koozie." That's right. That's right. She's a lucky lady.
Oh, we got some great dwellers. Keep it up, guys. Oh, we go Hard Rock and loving the Red Wave as well. Who else we got here? Big Mountain. Who is that? Capo?
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say you. Mile High Minute up in here in Texas State and UTSA are the most likely candidates. Well, we'll see. We'll get to that. But I do want to, since we're talking about that, so there's the poll. Tell us what you think. We'll keep this up for a few minutes. Dear Lord, we already got 23 votes. People are going cray-cray on it. But you know me, the top one is what I just said. CW, ESPN, TNT. That's basically what I'm saying.
Yeah, right? and I feel like we talked about it before, that we most likely between the Mountain West and the PAC, they would likely have different media partners. There could be some crossover.
Yeah.
But when we saw the release, at least for this coming year, where the Mountain West games are on CBS, it seems like maybe that was a little bit of telling in, who's missing from this deal is probably looking at the PAC.
Yeah. So take a minute and take your vote down there. So the information that I did get, and I'm not going to share it all because I'm not comfortable sharing everything that I got. But it kind of parlays with what Ross said. He said in the coming days we should hear about a media package. We'll see if we get that by the end of the week. I trust Ross, and whether it happens by Friday, maybe we get it Monday. I think it's imminent. It's within a few days.
I'm just wondering if that's just going to be for this season or if it's going to be like a long-term deal.
It's a long-term deal.
Okay.
They already did this season.
Oh, yeah, I guess they did.
The Pac-2 already announced that a couple of
DW.
Yeah. So the piece I'm going to add to that, I have been told that additions will be announced next week.
Oh,
I am hearing that not possibly. I was told next week be prepared for announcements on at least one edition. Yes. I will just say at least one edition. I'm not going to say any more than that. I have more, but I shan't say at this point.
I definitely saw a couple things that mentioned candidates.
Yeah.
Not just candidates.
Yeah.
Candidates for those last maybe couple spots.
I'm going to believe our buddy Ross Dellinger. We get media this week.
Okay.
I know we only have 2 days left at this point, but I'm still going to believe the man. And I'm going to believe me because I know who I'm getting this from, and say next week we probably get an announcement or announcements on a new member.
That would be so nice to get everything kind of tied up. Then we can move forward with talking about football. And really, then if we got a mediation deal, wow.
I think they all happen in June. Yeah. I said that at the beginning of June. I think you get the mediation settlement. I think you get the package deal, and I think you get the additions all in June. And here we sit, June 11th. So, hell, we're a third of the way through the daggone month. They better get popping.
Yeah.
And I think they will. Thomas Scully comes in again and says the Ocho. Yeah. The PAC's going to be on the Ocho.
The only problem is they're only on 1 day a year. So the Ochos. So that's a little rough. That's a tough time slot.
It is. It's a little tough time slot. So, all right. Last thing I want to get to, then I know we have a caller. Area code 931. Area code 931. We're going to get to you here in just a couple minutes. I'll unmute you. But rev share.
Yeah.
So I believe it was the end of last week. A.D. McCoy for Washington State put out that they are expecting to have $4.5 million in rev share for football this year.
Yes.
Football this year. Today, there was an article that came out, and A.D. Barnes with Oregon State, the Beavs talked about it, and he did not give any exact numbers. He just said, we're going to be competitive.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means,
right?
But we're going to be competitive with, and he was talking about the future members of the PAC. They're going to be competitive with what the Pac-12 is going to be. So, any thoughts on a $4.5 million football NIL budget?
I think.
Can I call it that? Is it still NIL?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, rev share.
I got to switch.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like adequate to be competitive in the conference and to hopefully compete for that 1 G6 spot in the CFP.
Yeah.
I think, if they want to be competitive with the top dogs, that was the thing is we're rebuilding the PAC. We want to show that we should be a power conference again.
Yeah.
We're at that level. We're at the P4 level or the Power 5, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
That's not going to cut it.
Sure.
To be at that level.
Yeah.
But that's not the real world that we live in. The real world that we live in is they're going to be competing for the G6 spot. They have, a bunch of that. It'll make them, I think, plenty of competitive in that realm to compete for that spot. Unless Boise does some crazy stuff and comes out and says we're going full 20 million, which is possible because of the brand that they have.
No, they're not. I think Boise is going to be around $8 to $10 million in total, not football. Total rev share. I think they're going to probably be about 50% of the cap. That's my guess. I've heard AD Jeremiah Dickinson talk about that a few times, and I think if they're dramatically below 8 million, I will be surprised for Boise State. All right, let's shut down the poll. We'll see what the results are, and then we're going to get to our first caller. Hopefully, I think I'll see the results once we get that sucker closed. We have 44 people voting on where they believe the Pac-12 media deal will end up. And the majority, 45%, say the CW, ESPN, and TNT. At almost 30%, we've got ESPN, TNT, Fox, and CBS.
Interesting.
So that would be I mean, honestly, that would be surprising to me.
Yes.
If they got those four networks to be their partners, I would be wow, I would be very surprised in a good way. Like I'm not a PAC hater, no matter what some people think.
To me, I think it really, I think there's probably going to be four partners, and it really depends on if you count the Turner as separate from Max. If you count them as one, does CBS jump in there as well?
Right, right.
That's what's interesting to me. I think you got your three there nailed. I don't see Fox getting in there. They currently have the Big 12 inventory. They have the Mountain West games.
Yeah.
I don't see Fox getting in there, but I'm really interested if CBS tries to fill some inventory there.
The only reason I see Fox getting in is for one reason.
Like the Apple Cup and the
Boise State Bronco football.
Oh yeah. They do like that.
Fox likes Boise State Bronco football, and I think if you see Fox as a PAC provider, it's because of Boise State. That's my opinion. I agree with you. I don't think they're going to be, but that's why they would be.
Which we know, and we're not in these negotiations. And if that's the case, and I really wonder how they're selling this package and marketing the package. If that's really the case, if there's that much motivation there, then honestly, it would behoove them to sell just a separate Boise State package.
That could be
like you're bidding on just the Boise State package.
Yeah,
Fox could do that.
Yep. All right, we're gonna go and unmute. I know we put this up a little bit ago. We've had a caller on really since we posted this. So thank you for holding, and let me unmute. All right, caller, area code 931. How you doing?
Hello, gentlemen. How are we doing this evening?
We're doing great, Bill. Where are you at tonight?
Oh, I'm in lovely Shelbyville, not far from Lynchburg, Tennessee, to pick up a load from Jack Daniels. Not exactly the beverage of choice for the show, I guess. But the question I have really, and this is one I've been trying to find out something, and I can't find anything to confirm it, which is stories going around that every school in the Mountain West will be participating in revenue sharing. I haven't heard anything to confirm this. Is this actually true as far as you know?
That is a fantastic question, and I actually was thinking about that today. I have not dug in to find that out to give you a solid answer. So I'm with you right now, Bill. I am on the, I would like to know that answer. And I could probably send an email tomorrow and maybe get an answer on that. At least for maybe not so much the new members coming in. I'm not sure I could get an answer, but certainly the members that are going to be continuing with the Mountain West, I could probably find that out. I want to say, like, again, this isn't sourced, but I would be shocked if not every member of the Mountain West was opting in.
And I would add to that, based on our interview with In Gloria We Trust, Gloria Navarez, Commissioner of the Mountain West, reading context clues of her answers, I would say not only are they all going to opt in, I think that my guess is, my assumption is they're all going to opt in and have a minimum level of participation. I seem like that's what she wanted. She didn't come out and say that,
right?
But the context clues of what she was saying, that's what I gathered.
And Bill, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if they've all honestly come out publicly and said that yet. I know some have, but that's a great question. And I literally was just thinking about that earlier today. And I'm like, I have got, JY, damn it, you got to do your homework here. And so I'm sorry, I don't have a definitive answer for you.
That's okay. I was trying to figure out because I couldn't find anything either. And also a fun little one here. Is it about time for a Big Mountain drinking game at this point? With all the stuff that's going on the show? Like every single time Steve gives the intro, take a shot. Every single time somebody talks about a Pilsner, take a shot. Every single time JY gets upset, take a shot.
Well, that
we got some very messed up people on this show.
And we can go back and watch FSU episodes together, and every time I say sovereign immunity, you got to take a shot. But Bill, I got Bill, I got to tell you this. I've known JY since we were in middle school. right? And now
Uh-oh.
we're in our mid 40s. I have gotten him to shoot whiskey one time in our entire lives, and that was on, I think, his wedding night.
It was my wedding night. Yeah.
Got him to shoot some wild turkey.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if Jack Daniels is in our future on the show.
He can't come back down to Tennessee again because he'll get tore up in about 30 seconds hanging out down here. So, all right, gentlemen, thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much,
Thanks,
Bill.
Bill.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Stay safe.
All right.
Oh, Bill's such a great guy. Again, if you're not following Bill, that college football guy YouTube channel, he's doing daily, at least one a day right now. He's doing season previews.
Yeah, he's great
for every. I don't know how many he's going to do. Maybe he's going to do the entire FBS. I don't know, but he is crushing it. I'm like, damn it, Bill, you are kicking butt, and he does a really good job. He gives you his opinions. He goes through the schedule. He tells you what the record's going to be at the end of the year for every school he's done.
He does a fantastic job. I watch about 4 or 5. I watch 5 or 6 national podcasts.
Yeah,
college football podcasts. And the Ross Dellinger is on one. I watch Cover 3, and one of those is Bill, that college football guy.
Absolutely.
If you're a college football fan, again, like what I said, is watching his show it's not like a normal show. It's not heavily produced. He's in the cab of his truck, but it's like sitting down with your buddy, just talking about who is knowledgeable about college football, just talking about college football and having a good time. So I love his show.
Okay, the stable's laughing at me saying I'm not a PAC hater, which I'm not. But you know what? I'm also not a PAC homer.
Right.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not a hater, and I'm not a homer. I try to read it, shoot it straight. And PAC homers don't like that because I don't talk like a homer. Right. Now, do I sometimes talk like a Mountain West homer? Yeah. And I continue to say that. Yes. I'm a Mountain West guy.
Yes.
That's why we started the damn channel.
Right.
All right. Okay, so we got some people chiming in. UNLV is in, and we've got Nevada is in. We've got UTEP is in. See, we're going to answer all the damn questions thanks to our dwellers tonight. We got 3 of them already. UNLV, Nevada, UTEP. Oh, I did want to mention. I just killed a 60-ounce beer. I know. I got to run to the fridge, man. This Red Wave. I'm telling you, it's like.
It's smooth. It goes down smooth.
It's like I'm at a freaking football game. He's got 22 out of 55 videos done. A lot more. Good Lord, man. More power to you. I'd buy you a whiskey shot right now. But anyway, yes, I did almost kill it, and I may have to run in. I don't know. I got to keep it together.
I've knocked out both of mine so far.
Did you?
So, yeah. Where's the beer girl?
I don't know. No, wait a minute. There was something that you said I want to get back to. Yeah. I got the UTEP.
There's a lot of conversation about the Beaver Field going on. Love Muscle is out of control like normal.
Love Muscle. Yeah. I'm not going to read that one. No. Yeah, it's pretty funny. Okay. Well, you mentioned about a minimum. Yes. Like the Mountain West, the ACC's already, or the AAC, the American is already, this was months ago they came out and we're like, we're going to expect this amount. I think it was over 3 years or something like that, our schools are going to do. I actually had, so UNM AD Lovo did a pregame show for their spring game. Jeff Grammer did like a live pre-show, and he had AD Lovo on, and they were taking questions, and I put in a question, and that was my question to AD Lovo. Do you anticipate, or would you like some sort of league conference minimum for this? His response, now this was, spring game, so we're talking a month and a half, whatever it was ago. His response was they hadn't really gotten there yet as a conference, but it is absolutely something he would be very much interested in. And I'm with you. I would like to see that happen. Yeah. And it doesn't have to be aggressive. Like, it doesn't have to be a crazy amount, but I would like to see them do something like that. So
some kind of floor.
And we're trying to get AD Lovo on. Unfortunately, we had him scheduled, and I had to stop.
There's big things going on in your life right now.
Yeah, my son graduates from high school.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a high school graduate tomorrow, so I must have done something right in my life.
You're old. That's the thing.
All right. Thanks, Steve. I want to just here we go. I don't have something on correctly. We do have two people in, and I don't know the order that they came in, but we're going to go to area code 503. I know we have two people in, so again, if you want to call in, call in. Area code 503, and let's see. Looks like you're unmuted. How you doing?
Hey guys, it's JH58.
JH, go Beavs.
Yeah. Hey, a little bit of trivia. Where the college guy is at, that college guy, Bill
Okay.
Lynchburg, with Jack Daniels, been on tour on that place, and it's a dry county.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah. Middle of a dry county. Yep.
That sounds like that shouldn't. How does that happen?
The Baptist. The Baptist.
Well, they need like 20,000 people in the county to vote for it to not to be dry,
Okay.
and they don't have 20,000 people in the county. So
Okay.
it's kind of hard to change.
That would be a difficult way to do it then.
Yeah. Anyway, reason why I called is with the information that you just put out not too long ago about the GOR for the
Yep.
Pac-12,
Yep.
and the next week supposedly additions will be released or put out there.
Mhm.
Does that maybe sound like mediation between the two conferences might be coming to an end?
Yeah, good question. I absolutely think it probably is. I don't know why the Pac-12 would, especially from the media deal side of things, like they have to get a member, so that's not a surprise. They're going to have to add a member at some point. So I don't think that's a big deal. But I think the media deal, like if they're going to come out with a number, now if they just come out and say, yeah, who knows what the amount is going to be? I mean, Ross didn't really elaborate on what it's going to be. If the announcement is, hey, we've secured a package with these three companies, but we don't get any other details in terms of financial stuff. Okay, that's really not going to affect probably the mediation a whole lot. But if we get details on some of the finances of that, I definitely think that they wouldn't do that while mediation was still hot and heavy. And I actually believe that mediation's probably about done. I've also been given some information that I really don't want to share yet live. I think there's one thing that's holding things up, and it doesn't have to do with the dollar figure right now. It's kind of a longer term issue that I think the Mountain West is trying to ensure um, something
An
like this.
agreement.
Yeah, something like this doesn't happen in the future type of deal. So yeah, I think it's close, and I agree with you. I think the fact that we're hearing these things are coming, both of them, absolutely leads me to believe that the mediation is almost all but done, probably.
And wouldn't you think that a new, if they're going to bring in new members, don't you think those new members would want that? They don't want to come into a house that's torn apart with ongoing litigation. I think like the timing just seems to work. It was announce the new member, announce the agreement, the mediation agreement, and okay, now that we've got that taken care of, these are our new members. It seems like that would just make them more comfortable moving forward.
Yeah, I think it would make them more comfortable. I think what makes them the most comfortable now is that the 8 members have signed a grant of rights and a membership
Yes,
agreement. I
yeah.
mean, they're not going to get a new member to join a conference until the first 8, if you want to call them that, are totally locked in with a grant of rights and a membership agreement. So now that they are locked in, they can really sell a new member on, yeah, this is really happening. Now, publicly, we all have realized that, yeah, this is really going to happen, but until the papers are signed, like nothing's a done deal. So I actually think that grant of rights and membership agreement are key in getting another member more than even the media deal or the mediation. Honestly, I mean, the media, it's going to be what it is.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a new member, whether it's Texas State, somebody was mentioned Louisiana, UTSA's getting time now, whoever it is. Like they want to make sure the conference is whole. They want to kind of know what the media deal is going to be, which clearly the PAC knows that right now. They can tell new potential members what that's going to be, and they can even probably, although they've signed these non-disclosure things with the mediation, so who knows what exactly they're going to tell them other than it's under control. I don't think the mediation is going to hold up again, I'll just use Texas State. I don't think that's going to hold them up from saying, yeah, if we're ready, we're going to join the PAC. So that's a mouthful there, JEH. Does that answer the question a bit?
Yeah, and I just want to say happy birthday, Squid.
There you go.
Well, thank you, JH. I had a great birthday over the weekend. My buddy JY dropped some cold beers off at my front door. I got home and there was cold beer waiting for me. I mean, that's always great.
Yeah.
And I had a question for you. What do you think about this Beavs baseball team? What are their chances? I think they're just a really good overall team. So what do you think of their chances? And then also, I mean, how big would this be for the Beavs with everything that's gone on the last few years? To if they could win a national championship in baseball, which is pretty high profile. It's not there with football, but it's pretty high profile on ESPN this time of year.
Yeah.
Well, that's one thing that hasn't suffered through all this stuff. They kept the team together. Nobody left. And plus, one of the best baseball players in the country was Washington Husky last year. He jumped into the portal so he could join the Bees so he could be on this run to Omaha. So the baseball program is going to be okay.
Awesome. So are you guaranteeing us a national championship this year?
Oh hell no. I want an Arkansas rematch, but they're in the easier. There's an easier side of the bracket. They got Louisville, Arizona, and God, I can't remember the other one. And their
Murray
bracket.
State?
Louisville's Murray State's on the hard side.
Oh,
They're
okay.
in there with LSU and Arkansas. LSU and Arkansas are the two teams to beat. I think Oregon State has a good chance to win their side of the bracket, but they got to play really all around good baseball, pitching, hitting, fielding, to beat the LSU or Arkansas.
Yeah.
Very good. Hey, we thank you for calling in again, sir. Appreciate you.
All right, bye.
Thanks, JH.
Oh, he is one of the best mountain dwellers that we have.
Yeah.
Almost never misses a live show.
It was one.
I think maybe he has missed one.
Yeah, it was one of. I mean, when we had like 5 followers, he was one of them. Yeah.
For sure. He has been a long time dweller, always keeping me honest with some of the PAC stuff. He's following me on X now too. Appreciate him. Oh, I got to give a quick shout out here to this Josh Grothus. How do you say that, Steve?
Yeah, Grothus.
Stave College Athletics. I gotta ask him if he's not, because there's a Bobcat fan on X. I think is it Sidelines? I think it's the Sidelines account, Bobcat maybe. Sidelines or Texas State Sidelines or whatever the heck it is. Josh, if you're that guy, let me know if you're that guy, because that's his jam. He's all about Save College Athletics. And I love everything that he's doing.
Didn't we have someone on the live show with that name as Save College Athletics for that username? Maybe he changed it to...
He may have. I don't know. But and maybe he's just along for the ride, or not for the ride, but he's
riding that bandwagon.
Absolutely. He's fighting the good fight as well. I am Sideline Texas State. Yes. How did I know? Welcome, buddy. I think this is your first live show. So glad that you can be here. That's awesome.
Call in, Josh.
I knew it was him.
Yeah.
I knew it was him. All right, we got another caller, and we're 9:30. If you want to get in, we'll keep the number up here for the next maybe 5 minutes, and then we're going to shut it off. So I got a 602 area code that we're going to go to next. But it is 9:30, and my wife always tells me I turn into a pumpkin, or she's going to smack me or something, and nobody wants that. And you know what I saw up here, though? Where's this at? Mr. Yaz. JY, please chug the 16-ounce beer with Steve chanting chug, chug, chug in the background.
I like it.
I think we might get kicked off YouTube if that happens.
That's true.
I don't think they allow... I think we've used a lot of...
no binge drinking.
Yeah, that's in the fine print of the user agreement. You can't do that. Although we are on our 3rd red wave because Sierra Nevada Sam hooked us up. And I'll say cheers to you again.
Cheers.
And for those that don't know what we're talking about, First Dweller Brew, Red Wave Light Lager from Sierra Nevada Sam. This is the brews that they sell at Fresno State.
Yes.
Whatever, athletics, events, football, basketball, everything. And it is our first Dweller Brew, and I can't be happier. So thank you, Sierra Nevada Sam.
Go Bulldogs.
And, and I wore my shirt just because we were drinking it.
Yep.
And what is it? Tioga Sequoia Brewing Company.
Best beer in the valley.
Okay. Only beer in the valley I've ever had. All right. Let's get to 602 area code. I will unmute. Whoops. What am I doing, Steve? There it goes. All right, you are on. How you doing?
Good, guys. How are you doing?
We're doing
Snuck
great.
in at the end.
Oh, it's immaculate.
It
This
is
is immaculate.
Well, you've been just
Yeah, you
I'm
guys don't
sure
know this number. I didn't.
for the last hour, you're probably like, daggone it, just get to the daggone Collins show. I got so much to say, and we're finally here.
I've actually been doing a little multitasking, but it's been fun listening to you guys. And I actually do like listening to other people calling in and seeing what they say. It's if you guys are having other good callers, you'll do this more often, and so I think that'd be a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. We've got so far here, we've had some great call-ins. So I'll tell you, I'm sure you got some things you want to talk about. Where do you want to start, Immaculate?
Well, I think maybe we should start with what we don't want to talk about, right?
Okay.
We're not going to talk about the House and Title IX, right?
Yeah, well, we can, but I
Yeah.
think we kind of all,
Yeah.
I think we're all on the same page with that, right? Like, what are your thoughts?
For once, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I'm actually really excited though about this governance stuff coming up. I'm a bit of an optimist, and I know most people aren't paying a whole lot of attention to it, but I think it's kind of quietly the biggest day that everyone should be paying attention to.
Yeah.
And we keep getting more signals of that, with these guys wanting to have their decision date pushed back to behind that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you notice, their decision date was like 7 days after when House actually passed, and now it's going to be 7 days behind that. So we'll see how that goes, but I think that could actually affect your opt-ins.
Yeah.
And it could even affect, depending upon, say, the A4 get the vote and they set up the 3 subdivisions, you could possibly see conferences moving subdivisions, guys.
Yeah.
Like say all of the mountain or let's say Missouri Valley, say they all opt in.
Yep.
I mean, have you guys talked much about that in terms of some of these bigger possibilities that may be starting to play themselves out now? Because I know people were saying that these Dakota schools weren't going to do it, but they're all doing it now, right?
One thing we've talked about on a couple different shows, we had Sam Herder on. He's a FCS guy. Is some of the I don't want to call it noise, but there's been inklings that the settlement and the governance stuff would create kind of like this period, like a free transfer period, where instead of a board or a committee deciding, okay, you can be in this level or that level, it's more going to be about who wants to opt in and make that financial commitment. We've seen some stuff from the NCAA, from Charlie Baker, and some other places kind of suggesting that could happen. So I agree with you. I think if some of those FCS conferences or a group, I mean, you could have North Dakota State, South Dakota State, the Montana, like a whole big group of schools say, this just makes sense if we're going to opt in and move in mass. I think this could be a time for that. I think that's a definite possibility. I did have a question for you. So this college football commission that was created to kind of as part of this settlement, I threw out there earlier, I don't know if you heard me, that
Yep.
yeah, so that okay, the A4 they've already, well, really the P2, but kind of the A4, they have control of the college football playoff committee. Now they're going to have control of this college football commission that's going to make rules. Do you think? I mean, that's already kind of a stranglehold on the governance and the regulations going forward. And I'm just interested on what your thoughts are on that and how that plays into the governance model and what we're going to find out later this month.
Wow, really good question. I tend to think that the new governance is what we've even heard said is that it's all about decentralization. They're trying to take and have a lot more people be in charge of a little bit instead of just a few people be in charge of a lot, and then you get like a log jam right there with too many political entrenchments. So I think you're right in that they are going to be empowered, just like CFP might remain empowered, but it might not. Once those 4 conferences, if this goes as planned, they can pretty much create whatever they want as long as they are in agreement about it, which is why, I'm sure there'll be some differences between the B2 and the others, but when it comes to the vote, they're going to have to be on point together. So I really actually think that this is a more evening of power between at least those 4 conferences than we have maybe ever seen before. And I know it's kind of hard for people to kind of switch to that from what we've all known here lately, but I think that that's really kind of the thing that's happening. And I think you're going to see little commissions, little groups that are in charge of controlling something, but they answer to the high table, so to speak, I guess.
Well, let me ask you a question, because you caught me ranting the other day on X, and I was saying about how I think part of it, I just think it's fake. I don't know, it's kind of fake, and I hate to say, which is totally opposite of what you're saying, Immaculate, and that's why I kind of bring it up. Like, I feel like while I get what you're saying, like you're gonna have the 4 A conferences under this, at least what we've seen from the proposal, kind of all be, well, they're not kind of, they're going to be the same, like their weight, their votes, everything. They're going to literally have the same. I don't why help me understand why the Power 2 would allow the Big 12 and ACC to have equal power in governance. Like, I don't know why they would allow that.
Well, okay, the first part that's really hard to answer is why they don't just separate themselves, right? I think that's what a lot of people ask. And for whatever reason, they don't want to. Yeah. Whether it be legal problems, political problems. I can't really answer that. Yeah. I don't have that answer. I don't know if anyone does, but we just kind of have to treat that like a constant. They don't want to do it for whatever reason.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you want to have this set up, I mean, they really wanted the A4 to have all the power. Like that was the plan. This whole 65% thing, that's a compromise to get the rest of Division I to do this. So when you say, well, why would they do that compromise? Because this is actually the middle point to where, say, one of those conferences, one of the main 4, doesn't agree. That means now everyone else is relevant, and they can line up with that conference against the others, or a couple of them can be like, we're going to get something from the other 3, and we're going to put our side with them and push this over. So it allows the others to have a place in this process, and that's why I say it's pretty important for the A4 that they be on the same page about things. Otherwise, it could actually kind of go the other way. And that's, we heard Stanky talk about that, right? When he's like, he kind of wanted to get to the 68%, and he kept trying to push for more and more, because really what they wanted was 100%. And that's just not going to happen when you have to get all the rest to vote for you to give you the power. Well, and I guess that answers the question for you, but
no, it does. And I think you hit the nail on the head with the breakaway. And I'm not one that thinks there should be a breakaway, but you're exactly right. It's like there's reasons why they want to play as nicely as they can as an A4, because they don't want to break away. That's beyond me. I've had 3 beers, but where was I going with that? I had a really interesting discussion, and I lost it. Go ahead, Steve. You had a question.
Yeah. Well, slight change of topic. If we're going to have Immaculate on, I got to ask him this question. And for our dwellers, if you are not following Immaculate on Twitter, what are you even doing? Are you even a college football
fan? They're probably not on Twitter if they're not following.
Well, they need to be. They need to get on Twitter X, follow JY and I, and follow Immaculate.
There you go.
Because Immaculate has been on this. I mean, before the last federal election, I mean, many months, over a year ago, was on this, talking about governance, talking about the need for legislation, all of that stuff, well before we finally got this settlement closed. So I have to ask you this. The last time we talked about Senator Ted Cruz and his committee and how they were kind of taking the lead, and it looked like something was going to come out of that.
Mhm.
And since then we had the President Trump call for a commission, and I think he wanted to put the Texas Tech booster on it and whatever. But recently, coming right out of the settlement, we do have two representatives in the U.S. House of Representatives that are offering a bill that basically codifies everything in this settlement. It would be huge wins for the NCAA, gives them pretty much everything they want, and honestly gives them, and it's bipartisan. It's a Republican and a Democrat. We try not to talk politics, but you have to, I mean, that's part of the equation in this. So now suddenly, out of nowhere, in my opinion, we have the House of Representatives is coming forth with a bill. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that because you've been the optimist the whole time. I've been the pessimist that Washington could fix this. Um,
Yeah.
what's your thoughts on that? Were you surprised at this, or did you think this was the normal? What would happen? Basically, as soon as the House settlement comes, then there would be legislation to codify that agreement.
Yeah, I guess first surprise is that this is an actual serious attempt coming out of the House. Everything before this was just kind of showtime, chance for a few congressionals to get up and grandstand and do some rhetoric, whereas the real work was coming out of the Senate. But now it kind of seems like once we're here, House is done. Now there might actually be a bit of a competition to have your name on the bill.
Yeah.
And when that becomes the case, that could come from any direction. And my feelings have been on this are it's either going to happen really quick or it's going to be dragged out and ugly. And if it happens really quick, it's because it was already kind of done.
Yeah.
And I'm, you talk about me on Twitter, and I made a post about the big red button.
Yeah.
And that's what House is. It doesn't really do all that much actually by itself, especially now you're seeing with the lawsuits and stuff coming at it. But it's the button. Like all the rest of the machinery around it was built up. They've been on delays. This thing's been going for like 5 years. They've been talking with Congress for that long. It's like everything else was built around the button and they just finally pushed it. So my thought is it happens really quick, which is why I said, man, wouldn't it be crazy if it actually happens before the governance vote, which is really quick.
Yeah.
I don't think that's actually the case. Don't ask me my odds on that. But I mean, pretty quickly. If when you bring this commission that you're talking about, I thought that was interesting that they brought in a big time billionaire who's ready to spend billions on this stuff. I kind of start to wonder how many pockets were greased. Sorry for political terms, but seriously, like, how does this get done? That's how it gets done.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's my thoughts is like, I think just like with a lot of stuff with realignment, and I consider all of this to be realignment in a way.
Yeah.
Things seem to be happening quicker than what we think they will be. For whatever reason, come up with that however you know. But generally speaking, stuff just tends to surprise and go, wow, how is that happening already? So that's kind of starting to become a rule of mine, is that prepare for something to happen quicker than you thought.
Well, you know what, Immaculate, you called us to ask us questions, and I think we're asking you more questions. And I have one last thing I want to ask you. And please, if you have things you want to bring up, please do. But I know, and you just hit the nail on the head. I saw your red button thing, and I know, you pretty much just said it. Like you believe, I think, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you believe that there has been a structure, a mechanism, the analogy you just used, like it's all been built. It's been awaiting the go. It's been awaiting the button to be pushed to go. Judge Wilkins did it. And now it's pretty much all laid out, and kind of gonna happen quick. That's kind of where you're at right now, right? Like you're thinking like the structure's already
like dominoes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
You set up your dominoes in a row and it just sits there until you flick the first one and then it just goes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because they've had a lot of time to work on this, right? I mean, this isn't just 5 years in process. This is over 10 years.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of generations of people who have come into administrations at these schools who have all put in their ideas to this. they're finally going to get a chance to do this. That's why I say that's why June 23rd is so important to all of this, because there is so much that has been dammed up for years that they wanted to do and that they couldn't do. So I don't even know most of this. I come up with a few examples, just as examples I think people would be interested in, but I have no idea how much they actually want to do at this point.
Yeah. So I'm glad we talked about the real important stuff first, because my next question is about the smoke that has been happening for a while. And that smoke being, of course, the college football playoffs. And do you have an opinion on all the rhetoric and propaganda? I'm going to call it propaganda because I think that's what it is. Between the models, do you read the tea leaves? I want to hear two things from you. One, what do you believe is the best model, if you believe one of them is? And secondly, where do you think we're actually going to end up in another year?
Well, I'll touch on the models thing because I think that's what's that?
If you have an opinion.
Yeah, I always have an opinion, but I'll touch on the models part because I think that's what most people really care about. I think that's been shown. I think they know that. The best model to me is the one that gets everyone to vote on governance. How's that for a political answer?
I don't like that at all.
In seriousness, I think, like I've said, the key, I called it the key that I had was 3-3-2-2-2-4. And I think that was just to kind of get everyone to vote. I had no idea the extreme on the other end was 5+11.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm trying to find a middle point between there, this is like a coded language for a negotiation that they can run in public, but it's really kind of maybe about something else, governance, because they can negotiate on this in terms of like, this is kind of how we can set this up. But really, if they give A4 power, CFP as we know it could be drastically changed. So I think if we're getting this model, it may only be for a year or two, and then we might get something big and different. So I'm pretty open to it. I kind of like some AQs, but also think that you need to have some at-larges as long as the CFP is like this, because that's where I'm actually going to agree with ESPN on this. That's where all your drama is.
Yeah.
That's where all of your battle is and your fun for bringing in all these schools into the thing. I kind of think, the future is going to the conference playoffs, which will go into like a smaller tournament of champions. And so really, I think what they're using this for is testing. They're testing home games to see what ratings are going to be for those, because that's what you would have in your conference playoffs. They're testing buys. Like how well does a buy work in this time? Okay, that doesn't work well. You don't want to have long times off. I think that there's just a lot that they're using for data, because if this goes as planned, I think it's going to spawn negotiations between them and their TV partners. And you don't want to go into negotiating brand new games without any data on your side, because then they're just going to lowball you on numbers. Yeah. So I think that they're using the CFP, man. I think that they're using it as a test bed. And that's probably not the answer that everyone wants to hear, but that's just kind of my thoughts on it, is that they're just using it.
Okay. Well, that's what I asked for. I wanted your thoughts, and that's not a thought you'll hear from many people, because everybody wants to talk numbers. They care. Are we talking 5'11", 4-4-2-2-1, or that's what they want to talk about. So,
and I still do. I think I like 2-2-2. I like twos across the board, and then the rest at large. If it was just me making it right now, boom, done.
Sure. Okay. Appreciate the call in, sir. Always a pleasure talking to you.
Heck yeah, it's a chance to talk with you guys. I always look forward to it, man. You guys have yourself a good one.
Hey, you too, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Take care.
Oh, there he is, Immaculate. And here's what we're going to do with Immaculate. When governance happens, which is only a week and a half away, we're going to do a standalone episode, not a call in. We're gonna record an episode with Immaculate, do a deep dive, a discussion on governance and just all that kind of stuff. We've been waiting for it. He's the man to do it, and we're gonna have him on for a recorded episode. I have to give a shout out real quick, Steve.
Yeah.
And then I want to hit some of our commenters, and then we'll be done. But We do. I know we have the little Venmo doohickey up
Okay.
on the screen, and we got some Venmo people appreciating our channel
Yes.
last week. So thank you for that. We had another one this week. Joe, I won't give his full name, but Joe sent us a Venmo. Thank you. So thank you, Joe. If you're on, I'm wondering if JM East is maybe Joe, just because it starts with a J. I mean, that's a long shot,
Yeah,
but I have no
maybe.
idea. All right, let's get to some of these last couple comments.
Maybe he's trying to get you to answer his Big Sky joins the Mountain West.
I'm gonna hit the very first one I'm gonna answer is a JM East question. I don't know if it's the same guy or not, but we're gonna go for. He says, "Will you make sure to get Texas State in the Pac-12 for 26-27, UTSA for 27-28?" So I've done nothing for 27-28.
Yeah.
Everything that we've talked about, anytime we talk about the Pac, everything I put on X is very specific to be 26-27. I think 27-28 is a different animal, and we really haven't looked at that. I think 27-28 potentially opens the door to some more UTSA, as an example, to more American schools. Possibly opens the door. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I have said, and I can continue to say, Texas State.
Yeah.
They used to be in negotiations. I've now said they're locked in, and I've been saying they've been locked in for quite a while. And I double down that they're locked in to the PAC.
It would be
I think I doubled down a long time ago.
Yeah,
But
you're
anyway.
it would be really interesting if they did an announcement like that morning. The Texas State released their announcement, hey, we're joining, and then that day was the media agreement and all that. Like that would be a big way because we talked about so much silence from the PAC.
Yeah,
that would be a huge okay, we're a full solid conference.
Mhm.
We're here. We're not messing around anymore. That would be a good package announcement.
Ron, which is more likely, the Big Sky teams joining the Mountain West or Mountain West teams joining the Big Sky? I don't see any Mountain West teams joining the Big Sky. So what's more likely? Big Sky teams joining the Mountain West. That was easy.
I want to, Immaculate brought up a really, really good point because we've talked about this, the whole this might be the time, the free transfer. And now that schools are looking at, we had North Dakota AD says we're opting into this.
Right.
I really wonder, I brought this up to you privately off air, if this is the time and we see a big bunch of schools, a big batch of schools say, this is the time we're going to opt into this.
Yeah.
Let's just go ahead and go up to the FBS level. And he brought up, I think, the Missouri Valley Conference, like whole conference is switching. I don't know if we'll see something that big.
Right.
But I wonder if you get a group of like 5, 6, especially out west out there where they have those successful programs.
Yeah.
If you get a whole group that says, hey, we're moving and we want to join a conference together, like that could look pretty attractive to the Mountain West. It'd be interesting.
So I think the only way that happens, and Immaculate's talked about this a lot, if you follow him, is going from a 2-tier structure to a 3-tier structure.
Right.
And the 3-tier structure, and I'm going to base it on the A4 is the top.
Yes.
And I think that I've been calling it FBS plus.
Right.
But I do like that college football by that followed.
That college football guy. We've had 3 beers.
Bill calls it, what is it? It's FCS, FBS, and FAS.
Yes.
For football autonomous,
yes,
conference or whatever. So if your A4s are in their own, and then your G6s, maybe plus a few to get to Immaculate's point, maybe the Missouri Valley, maybe the Big Sky, want to be in the new FBS, right? The new middle group, and then you've got what is currently the FCS still being the FCS. That's where, if you're going to have 3 tiers like that, that's where I could see that potentially happening.
I totally agree, but I think you're talking about that in a formal situation, like the NCAA.
Yes, very formal. I'm talking formal.
And what I'm saying is, I think they may sort themselves and create that middle tier.
Okay.
Because of what we're seeing. Really, this opt-in is a huge thing. And if you see again, North Dakota State, the Montanas, if you see a lot of those level of schools start to opt in, they may just say, well, we might as well be FBS and create their own middle tier.
Sure.
I don't know.
Well, good point. I don't think any of us know exactly what's going to happen. And that's what makes it a Well, it makes it kind of fun.
Yeah,
A little scary too, for maybe some conferences. But so I got something from FIA here.
Okay.
This has to do with beer.
Okay. Beer.
People know we're loving our red
I'm
wave.
out of beer.
Our red wave is doing great. We're almost done. FIA says to put ice. Okay, drinking beer over ice sounds wrong. But ever since I've been to Thailand, where beer is served over ice, I can't go back to beer without ice. What do you think about that?
I served in the Navy 22 years, right?
Okay.
And what I learned, one thing that you learn in the Navy is what happens in Thailand stays in Thailand. End of story.
Vegas. That's
No,
Vegas.
no. Thailand is like Vegas on steroids.
Oh,
so
yeah.
what happens
I
in
did watch-
Thailand stays in Thailand.
I did watch the
No beer on ice.
Hangover 2.
Yes.
Yeah, that was pretty effed up. So, pretty messed up. All right, let's keep going here. See if we have any other big questions. Appreciate all your guys' chatter. This has been a fantastic live show. Love our interactions with the dwellers, with the call-ins. Mr. Ed's in the house. Hello,
Mr.
gentlemen.
Ed.
Welcome aboard, sir. Let me go back up because this stupid thing.
Did you give Steven a shout out? He's here again.
He's been here the whole night.
Yes, he's one of our original mountain dwellers. We've had him on the show a couple times.
Yeah.
The Ohio Bobcat fan. He does his Bobcat Corner on his YouTube channel.
Okay, this jumped. I have no idea where I went to, but we'll see if there's any other quick questions that maybe we can. Atomic Skull, I heard the PAC was requiring a 60 million budget minimum. Has this been confirmed? Not that I'm aware of.
So we're in a YouTube chat, right? And our fans, our dwellers are so intelligent, right?
Yeah, they're on it, man.
That they're in the YouTube comments. They're asking each other for sources. They want sourced material because they've come to appreciate having sourced material.
Well, JEH says he thinks the figure was modified to 50 million for the PAC. So that's interesting. Maybe something else I can try and get some digging on. Daryl says, has anyone heard anything about the Mountain West president's vote on admitting GCU yet? That's got me curious. I have not heard anything on that. I have a funny feeling. Well, I always thought maybe they were waiting until the true application or withdrawal notices, right? Like, and we're not going to have this meeting until we get. So they got the withdrawal notices here, 12 days ago or whatever it's been now. And that takes some time to have a meeting and accept and then create something. I will be surprised. And I know I've said it before. I'll be surprised if GCU doesn't get in this year. I would think that's coming here in the near future as well. I don't think the mediation really has anything to do with that. So I think the withdrawal notices did.
When do you think they actually start playing basketball?
This fall or this winter?
You think? Wow,
I do. I think it's this winter. 100%.
Wow.
I am 100% on board with that. And yeah, we shall see. I don't know. The question is, have we heard any more? I have not. It's been a little bit since I heard anything. And I actually haven't reached back out. You don't want to. I don't like to keep going after sources with stuff.
FIA asked about Hawaii when they get a stadium. I just happened to be reading about this recently and just all the problems that they've had out there. Obviously they're trying. I mean, it's I think I saw the stadium was supposed to be done like 28, 29. I mean, it's not imminent. They've had a lot of problems. And obviously it's a crappy situation.
Yeah.
Like it just is for them. And he says if he feels bad for the program, I do too. But I don't know that it really affects the value of Hawaii. Like they're just the time zone they're in, the situation and all of that. They're going to keep playing football. But yes, it would be nice for them to get their stadium. But I think it's going to be a few more years yet.
I think it will too. JME says, why will NIU join the Mountain West for football only? I think he meant when, or they meant when. That is not this fall, the next fall. It's 2026 when they will join for football, along with UTEP and all the other new members. I think we're getting down to the end here, Steve.
And I'll just say real quick on NIU, and we had AD Frazier on, right? Frazier from NIU. Yes, we had AD Frazier on, and I will say this again. I know I'm repeating myself. I think they're doing a great job. They're being innovative. Wave of the future, joining the Mountain West as football only, finding a regional, which I think they already did, find a regional conference.
Yes, they did.
For their Olympic sports. I think it's incredibly smart. A.D. Frazier, he's the kind of guy that needs to be in the room when they're making these decisions and figuring things out.
Yeah.
I know the presidents are the decision makers, but they need to be taking input from guys like him who actually have to work on the solutions to make things happen.
Well, we're going to wrap it up. It was a heck of a night. A lot of fun. We got the Red Wave. We got the Dweller Brew for the first time on. We have calls in. We've got dropping information from sources about the PAC. We're talking about the House settlement. We jammed it all into about a 90-minute convo.
Producer PWB was light on his feet. He kept us in. We had the Zoom going. We had live
Polls.
I mean, just it's been a great night.
Well, I think we have to take off next week.
Yeah, we might.
Nope, we're not going to do it.
I think we should double his salary.
Yes, absolutely. I say triple. So, hey, with that, we thank you guys so much for watching. Love the engagement with our dwellers. Love all the chats. Great time having another call-in session. We'll continue to do this every so often. I'm going to do it every week. I think we're going to have a lot to talk about over the next couple of months, or not months, weeks, with the PAC in the Mountain West and governance and everything that's been going on right now. And, you know, before too long, Steve, you and I are going to have to talk about the football season, for crying out loud.
Whiteout, Oregon, at Penn State, September 27th. I'm going to be there. I got my whiteout shirt picked out.
Have you?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, we're going to have to start making previews and over-under picks and betting. And oh, my gosh.
We're going to make over-under picks on every team that we cover, all the Big Ten teams, Mountain West teams, PAC teams. I'm picking Florida State.
Yep.
And you know what?
You're picking Florida State again.
I'm picking Florida State again, and I'm adding someone just for, this is for, and he's been on the show before, for a person, one of our first live guests in studio and on the show, the son of our producer.
Oh, you're going to pick Clemson?
I'm adding Clemson to the list this year. I'm going to pick all Clemson games.
You better make him win every daggone game, or he's going to let you know.
I think Clemson might just win every daggone game.
Holy crap. There you have it. Okay. Hey, thank you guys so much. Smash that like button. We love all the chatter, love our live shows. Awesome time. So, hey, we'll see you guys next time on the Big Mountain.